Okay, good Saturday evening, everybody. Just a surprise live stream. Wanted to get a few things done, and I thought I'd just go live in case anyone had any questions or want to do a few follow-ups, especially on the Cintiq 25. And I did have some news and updates that, you know, sometimes I think if I try to make a normal video, it's going to take forever to make the video, so I might as well just talk about it live. And I'm going to try a few new things in the stream. Let's see. Let me tell the Discord on camera. And put the link. Decided to keep it a little casual, so no shirt and suit today, just a t-shirt, and also just a t-shirt because it's starting to get a little warm, so just trying to keep it cool. 1 second, I just need to send a link to the Discord chat. Live, and I'll put the link there. Okay, so the first thing is I actually have a different way of doing show notes this time. Now, I have been using OneNote, and OneNote is actually easy for me to work with because I know how it works. I just edit text, but it has a couple of challenges for me. Number one, it's just like this flat list of text, so it's hard to, I think, focus on a topic since it's just, some text in a document. The other thing, it's hard to segment some of the content because it's all on basically one page, right? Now, I got a great suggestion from when we were doing some whiteboarding the other day from one of our Discord friends, Hera, who suggested that instead of using a whiteboard app, I use PowerPoint because you can draw in PowerPoint. Maybe we'll do that today. So I thought, that might actually be an easier way for me to have live show notes, since it lets me focus people's attention on content, and I can add other content. It makes it a little bit easier in some ways. So that's what I'm going to try today, just a live PowerPoint. And let me move some windows here and share the PowerPoint out. Let's try that. There, you can see I'm actually editing it something. So there's a bunch of, you can see I have a bunch of slides again, just to remind me what I want to talk about. And again, this is just news, updates, things I've discovered, what we're going to do. Let me just write down a quick agenda kind of for this. So yeah, we have some news and updates. And in addition, we'll do any Q&A people want to do, Q&A, as always. And I have, I want to talk about office hours. I may not do these topics in this order. I want to update on the Wacom. Oh, that's part of the update. Sorry, I'll get to that. And then I just have some content work I want to do. So, if people want to hang out and ask questions or just watch as I work on it, great. I find, again, doing it live makes me more committed to getting it done. Right? So, let me make sure I've got the chat up, just in case anyone's online. I don't expect... Oh, Arch is there. Yes, good to see you, Arch. Thank you. Yeah, multiple streams. I think I've done 3 in the past 4 or 5 days. Well, it keeps things exciting for me, quite honestly. And I'm happy to chat. Sometimes, I think I've mentioned this before, sometimes it can be a little, what's the right word? I'm sort of sitting here alone at night, poor me, working on tablet stuff. And sometimes the energy can kind of flag. And I find that I'm much more, it gets me interested when I'm talking, right? And there's a live audience and people have questions. Even if one person is just chatting, I'm totally fine with it. Now, I am very used to being on camera from my history at work, and I have delivered many, presentations in front of hundreds of people, so I'm not shy about being on camera. But I actually thought this would be another great way to get even develop some skills online, to talk more extemporaneously, which I'm very comfortable doing. I would just like some extra polish. So this gives me an opportunity to practice doing this. And I love doing it. So the first thing that I found today, which is from the Discord. Now I talk about this topic all the time. Let me see if I can make this a bit larger here. Oops, didn't quite do what I wanted. Let me change how the slideshow works. Slideshow. Is it set up? Slideshow monitor. Let's just see what happens. That's a little too complicated to see. Sorry. I've never done it quite this way. Presenter view. That's not what I want. Setup slideshow. I don't want... what's happening is, when I project the screen, it's projecting it on every monitor, which I don't want to do. But for now, let's leave it. And I'll try to figure it out maybe a little bit later in the stream. It's just disconcerting for my eyes. Oh, and I can't see the chat. That's another great thing. Arch, one thing I've noticed is that working on stuff with screen share on and in chat can keep people more proactive. Yeah, that's right. And that's the effect I'm feeling. Hey, Adi, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. As always, thanks for joining the stream. And if you have any questions or topics you want to discuss or things you want to share, let us know. Which reminds me, one of the things I want to do is I want to do any reacts. If you want me to react to any content. Okay, so the first thing that came up, actually just today, was this. I'm always, yelling about how tablets are always just black plastic or gray plastic, and there's so little variation in color. And it turns out, and when I say we here, right now I'm talking about we in the United States, are often denied really interesting choices in colorful tablets. I showed you, hey Voida, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. So I showed you earlier in one of my previous streams the Huion Canvas 13 Gen 3. Now I have the Sakura Pink version, which is very nice, looks very nice. Someone pointed out in Japan they sell, or was it China, I can't remember. They sell a white version. And it looks beautiful. It looks beautiful. And so people occasionally send me these links of these forbidden tablets you can get in other regions. And this is one of them. This is an older tablet, but take a look at this. I didn't even know Wacom made one in this pink color, right? And there's a few more photos. Let me share here. Look at this. I think it looks great, right? And just the box itself is nicely decorated. Let's see, Adi's doing something interesting. Trying to install Clip Studio on Fedora Linux right now. It works, but I cannot activate it. Is there, Adi, is it requiring some kind of emulation layer? I haven't used Linux in a while, and I've never tried running a Windows native app on Linux. Is Wine still a thing, or have they switched to something else? Yes, Superior Art. It is actually really cute, isn't it? But we are denied this. We are denied this. I don't know why. It's not like this art style is unknown in the United States. We love this now, right? This kind of art style has proliferated in the United States. So be well received, I think. If you're going to sell a creative hardware, you got to show some creativity, right? And then even, here's what it looks like, a photo of the tablet. That's the covering. Look at that. That looks really nice, I think. Right? And it's not pale pink. I mean, it's like really, it's kind of intense. And the middle's pale, but I like it. I like it. Okay. So that's one thing I wanted to show you. Just another example of a really cool tablet, right? And another thing that came up today was a thing called Graphite. Now the website's graphite.rs. I'm going to go there, and we're going to just take a quick visit. I guess this is a little bit of a content react here. Now, so you've used things like maybe Illustrator or Inkscape. And so this is a 2D editor, right now focused on vector, but I think they're going to add raster. But it just does something that I've never seen in a typical 2D application, which is node-based editing, right? I think if you're using tools like Blender, it's natural, but for me, I have to say this in two pieces. When I'm pretending to be a normal person, it's not normal. Sorry, meaning it's not, I've not been exposed to it because I just use these tools like any other person. I do have a slight background in building these kind of applications, and so this kind of system where there's a node-based design is familiar to me. I worked on such an application as a program manager, but I never anticipated it would sort of make it out where a normal person would see. So that's a little bit of a shock to me. Let me check the chat. Voidout says, I wish tablet stores would allow more customization with orders, the type of the pen for the Frago, S size. Yeah, that's a good point, Voidout. I think they should allow customization with orders. I would love to see, what's the example? Stream Deck. Let me see if I can show a picture real quick. Stream Deck, custom faceplate. So I use a Stream Deck, and one of them, you can actually like replace the faceplate. Now, I think these are pre-built for you. I guess you could 3D print and paint one of your own, but this is the kind of thing I'd love to be able to customize. Wacom added a little bit of customization with their new CP923 pen because you could customize the top part, which screws on and off. But it's not, it's not that big a deal. Let's see. Adi says, this is for, he's using Clip Studio Paint with Linux. Yep, it uses Wine, but it needs web to view. Let's see, Voidout says, I think the Black Ink app also allows you to create brushes using a node-based engine. Let me look that up in a second. Let me put that in my notes as well, so I won't lose track of it. It's called Black Ink, I think he said. Let me duplicate the slide, or add a new slide rather. What was it called? Black Ink. And we'll get back to that. Hey, Nizio Martin, good to see you. Thanks for joining the stream. We're chilling out here, looking at things. And Archpoint says he wishes the tablets would pens and tablets come in white, so you could see them in less than ideal lighting condition. This is my situation. I like a dark, cave-like working environment. In fact, what you're seeing here, with that wall being lit up and that's highly unusual. This is just my studio. I do not like working in an environment like this. I like it dim and dark. I don't like any direct sunlight. For me, it's just a much more calmer thing. In the middle of the day, I want it very dim. In fact, at work in Microsoft, I used to want interior. Most people want office windows. I never wanted that. I wanted interior offices so I didn't have to deal with the light. Nizia, thanks for this comment. Yeah, I'm doing these more frequently because I'm really enjoying them. And I'm enjoying the energy I get from interacting with an audience, right? It says Tourbox comes in brighter colors, but not the cheap base model. Yeah, the base model is just black. Audi, we need official Wacom skin with unique color, like the third. Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Okay, let's take a look at Graphite again. Okay, and this is you're not going to understand it just by looking at the app. Okay. Like, it's just not going to... Let me paste it in chat, too. Copy, and... Let's put this thing in chat. Graphite. Now, notice it says graphite.rs, because... And that tells you something. It's written in Rust. Now, I know some of the my Discord friends are really into Rust. Seems to be a very popular thing these days. I've never used Rust. I think probably someday I will. But this thing is written in Rust. And I don't know how they managed to make it work as a web page. I guess there's some WebAssembly stuff going on. But right now it's a web app that it will also apparently, on their plan of record, is to make it also available as a downloadable app. So you can run it locally. You don't need to run it in your browser. Let's see. Art says, I can see really uncommon and not so often bought colors being premium models. Yeah, that's a great point because they have to make their money back. It costs money to create these options, right? Yeah. Nizia Martin says, remind me about the XP Pen roller pen on macOS. I tell you what, I promise I will do that in the stream. How's that? Okay? I promise you. So let me actually just put that down as a new slide, XP Pen roller test, macOS. How's that? That way we won't forget it at all. Okay, let's go back to Graphite. And they've got a lot coming here. I would say first is they're going to get into raster, and there's some motion graphics. So it's well beyond just Illustrator, right? Now, and they have a roadmap published, right? They're still in the alpha phase, and I didn't know this. They actually have been going on for more years than I knew about. So they're right here in alpha 4. So they're working on procedural vector editing usability. But take a look at what they have coming up, right? Like. Desktop app is listed and native for Windows, Mac, and Linux. GPU accelerated raster rendering, which is good. When I tried it on the browser, I did notice it was maybe a little sluggish. And then some of these things I don't know. I really do not know what parametric animation exactly means, or instancer repeater nodes. But I am very curious, right? Local fonts. Stylus and touch interaction, so it doesn't work with tablets yet. But who knows? Maybe this will be, a big deal in the future. Oh, Adi has a question. Speaking about skin, does the new Intuos Pro get a replaceable skin mat? Oh yeah, it does. It is called a texture sheet, and there's one available for all 3 sizes of the new Intuos Pro 2025. Now, one thing you should know is that in previous Intuos Pros, the texture sheet, the one that you got with the tab was called the standard texture, and you could buy a rough or smooth texture. However, now the texture sheet that you buy, if you buy another one, it's only available in the standard texture, so you can't make it rougher or smoother. I think the color thing is more that if you make Art says, if you're making these colors. If you make an even split of colors, people will buy some more than others, and you end up with stock you need to get rid of, potentially at a loss. That's right. That's fair. And that is something we have to take into account. Okay, and let's see. This stuff looks like they have, some of these things are check marked, which means they're done. Some of the things have, it looks like they're scheduled, And some of these things are not, there's no icon there, so I guess they're still thinking about it, right? Or it's on the roadmap, but they have no date for it. So we're still not even at a beta stage yet, so it's going to be a long time. And they don't have a date for their 1.0 release, but I think you should keep an eye out for this because, again, this could be a really important thing in the future. Maybe this is the, one creative app. Sorry, let me back up. Maybe this is going to be the one 2D app that does everything across all platforms. Maybe. Let's see. Okay, but in order to see, let's get to YouTube. And let's go find out, what was it called? Graphite app. One day ago, from Gamers from Scratch. I wonder if they have a video. So this is the actual channel. It's called Graphite Editor here. I'm going to paste it in to the chat. There was a video that was published very recently. I think it was the how do I get back here? So I want to show something modern, not something that's... Okay, let's just show this, okay? And I'm going to enable system audio, because I think this will allow you to hear the video. I'm not sure if anyone's hearing. I'm not hearing anything. Okay, I'm not hearing anything. Is anyone hearing the video itself? Let me try turning off this. Maybe I have it muted. Not sure. Okay, maybe I just don't have it set up for it. Anyway, this is the video, and I'll just scrub through there and just explain. You can see some interesting things where these leaves are drawn, but actually parameters control what happens with the leaves, right? And you can see some of the parameters, and by changing certain values, you can see the leaves change. So this is all dynamic and node-based. Yeah, Voidots, thank you. I may not have. I reinstalled, what do you call it? Ecamm Live, which is my streaming software. So I think its thing to capture system audio is not working, which is odd. And I'll investigate it. Oh, you know what? I figured out the problem. Hang on. We're gonna watch it.
I could make it blue.
Okay. You should have just, okay, let's just start. I think I solved the audio problem now. So let me turn off the music and let's just start.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mike here at Game from Scratch. One of my favorite things to do is expose new software to you guys on this channel, especially free and open source software. And today I have one doozy of an application. It is called Graphite. This is right now, the closest thing you can think of it is Substance Designer meets Inkscape. If you can
Let me know if you hear the audio.
That idea.
Everyone should be able to hear it.
A node-driven or graph-driven vector graphics application, sort of like Adobe Illustrator or Affinity Designer or Inkscape, but with a workflow more like Material Maker or Substance. It is a very, very cool application. Right now, it is actually only available in alpha. So this is an alpha 4 version. So you're going to run into some bugs and glitches for sure. In terms of availability, we'll get back to that in just a second, but pretty much no matter which operating system you're working with, you can get a hold of Graphite. Again, entirely free and entirely open source. So what is this all about? Well, let me show you with one of their...
Let me pause just for a second. I want to just pose a question and make a comment. Some of the apps he named are not familiar to me. And because I have my background in this field, but I would ask you, if you're in the chat, are you familiar with those apps, and are you excited either now or later in the video? I'm really curious what your reaction is to this kind of application. And if you think it's solving a real problem that you're having today with your existing apps, or is something that has potential in your workflow, I'd love to hear that. So let's continue.
Example. So I'm going to come up over here and I'm going to open up one of their demo scenes, and you're going to see it right here. So I have this leaf pattern. Nothing too special there, right? It's made up out of a network of nodes. Each one, so you can see maple leaves and oak leaves and morph together and so on. But where this gets really impressive is right here. Boom. And this is what you're ultimately creating when you create your world. So you're creating these node graphs which create your scenes. So you're thinking to yourself, well, why the hell would I want to do this? This seems needlessly complicated. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this percentage value over here. I'm going to turn off the node graph so I have it set over here. You can notice, take a look at these guys, and this is the percentage of season, for example. And what I can do is do that. So procedural-driven vector graphics. That is really, really awesome stuff. So you can do some really interesting work. The world of nodes, we got nodes, geometry nodes in Blender, have expanded into all of Blender's node-driven. Material Maker is a node-driven material program, like Substance Designer. Substance, of course, has all this node-driven stuff in as well. This is the same sort of thing, but for vector graphics. You can see all these various different pieces go together. You can grab any one of these anytime. And then switch it out. So instead of the fill being red, I could make it blue like this. And I'm not actually sure what I'm filling here. Let's do another fill here. Depth shadow, sure. Let's make that red. So you see the effect in the background as I fill that in. By the way, you can fade the artwork as it's displayed up over here. Now, probably the easiest way to show you this is instead of showing you this in-depth demo, by the way, there are a couple of them that you can go ahead and check out here. So if you want to see, for example, here, this is being driven, again, entirely created with a node network. You can see all these different nodes being created over here. You can drill down into them. Once again, entirely node draft driven. They all work together to create the end thing, but let's just go ahead and create one ourselves. So we're going to go here, File, New, create a new document here, 1080p document. All right, so super simple. It's got all your typical vector graphics tools. So here you can see, let me just, by the way, there is undo. So let's come up here, we'll do fill. So we got a red square like this, and then we've got a circle. Let's make that circle blue, and then like that. It's pretty straightforward vector graphic stuff. Again, I can grab one, I can grab the other, and then I can do things like layer, Boolean, subtract front. So there we now have this new shape, which is this one, taken out of this. Very typical stuff that you do in the world of vector graphics, right? Well, now what we can do is go on over here, take a look at our node graph, and this is what was generated. So you see here, our blue ellipse and our red square were both generated here. Anytime I could grab one of these things, so there is the transform, so I could move that particular shape around. There you see the immediate result as I'm moving it around over there. And then any one of these things can be edited. So I could go back to the raw form of our ellipse. We could change out the initial sizes of it. Entirely procedural driven. Very cool stuff. Any one of these you can actually go into and turn it into an input. It's right there. And then I can have a value that comes in here and set that one up as an import for that value. Or if you are like the less artistically inclined and you instead of wanting to use their tools, instead of using these tools over here to create, say, text like this, what I actually do is I could come in here, create a new node, create a node of type text, like there, like that, and then let's come in here with our text selected, and we will call this all your base. This is ultimately a vector it is creating, so let's do the same thing. Let's add a transform to it so we can put it somewhere in the world. So a transform, and then we will fill it. Fill, like so. And then now we've got that. We can change the fill, so we can change our text color, make our text, let's make it this green color right here. And then finally, we will merge that out. So do a merge, and then just a generalized merge like this. And I think I actually want to change it. So there goes to there. And then our Boolean output instead comes in as an input to there. And then this goes to here, like so. So now, if we take a look at our shape, there it is, all your base. And now, because there's a transform attached to that, I should be able to grab this and move it around like so, resize it, do whatever I want with it, and then go back over to the node graph, and it's just updated our values accordingly. So it changed the transform or whatever, and I can go ahead and move that however I want. Once again, I can also take any one of these values and expose it as a parameter like so, and then I could do, say, a random number generator into there, random number into our translation, which is kind of meaningless because it's only translating one value, but you get an idea of how all these things can work together. It is a very, very cool application capable of doing, again, your traditional vector graphics drawy stuff. You can completely ignore the noise behind the scenes and just use this as a vector graphics app. You've got your traditional pens, so drawing tool that way, and then we've got normal lines. It's chugging right now. That's one of those things you're going to find. And one thing you're going to notice is for me hitting escape, yeah, we're running a web application here. But don't worry, don't let that put you off. Let's get back to the details of it. So this is called Graphite, and it is graphite.rs. Now you notice at the very end there, it did start chugging, started slowing.
So let me take a quick pause there. You noticed, yeah, he's just talking about the sluggishness. I noticed that as well when I tried it and in some other videos. But, I think they mentioned they're going to work on that. So the thing that I noticed in this video so far is it wasn't clear to me whether you had to use all this node-based editing, but he made an explicit point that you could actually just draw like a normal application, right? So that was good. That sort of relieved maybe a little bit of concern I had. The second thing that came to my mind is, how can I explain this? Because some of you will not know the application I'm talking about, but there's a Microsoft application called Visio, and Visio is really, most people would say it's intended for like what do you call it? Network diagrams, flowcharts, that kind of thing. It's actually much more broad than that. But Visio has, well, I would not describe it as node-based the way that was demonstrated here. There is a backing system that deals with the relationships between objects. So, for example, at Microsoft, by the way, I was considered someone who knew a lot about Visio and how it worked. And you've seen like a Pythagorean diagram, the Pythagorean theorem where they showed you a square and the sum of a right triangle and the sum of the squares and all that stuff. I made an interactive version of that in Visio, where you can resize any of the rectangles and other things will change. And it'll actually tell you the area as well. And it made me, when I'm seeing this video, it made me think this could be a way of making some interactive things like that. So I'm pretty excited about that, right? So anyway, check out the video. And I think, did I paste it in? I may not have pasted it. Let me just go ahead and just do that right now, just in case you hadn't seen it. Yeah, check out the video. So I think it's worth it. Again, it's very early days for this application, but I think over time we'll see something interesting. Okay, so let's get to the next item in the agenda. Oh, I forgot to hit enter on the paste. Black ink was something somebody mentioned in chat. Let's go and search for that. I have not seen this myself. Let's take a look here. Is this the application? Black ink? It seems correct. Let me turn off the music again and click on this. First, let me just take a look at this channel. Black ink, 2,000 subscribers. It's on Steam Voidouts? Okay, I'll take a look. Is there a video here? I'm trying to find a video that would sort of like, for everybody, make sense. Because some of these haven't been updated in a while. How about, well, this is an older video, so let's just try it for a second. First of all, I like the way the video started. That was nice. And we won't want the full video,
Hello and
just
welcome
get an
to
idea.
Black Ink. Today, I offer you a new Black Ink tutorial, accessible to all, in the form of speed painting. I will show you tips and tools I use when I draw. I hope this will help you in your future creations. Let's go. Before I start drawing, this is my workspace. Here I put the layer editor. The secondary viewport is in the tab next to it. Then below, I put the layer operator properties panel. Great. I start with the brush charcoal dual texture, because I like its appearance for sketching. I can also find it by opening the brush manager with the shortcut Shift-M. When I draw, the size of my brush fluctuates according to my zoom. This is thanks to the View Constant Brush Size option. This option is really very handy. I use it all the time. It allows you to place the masses in the drawing very quickly. It creates very nice material effects. When the brush has one, of course. This option can be found here, and can be activated with the shortcut Y. Alright. The orientation of my leaf doesn't suit me. I'll fix that. W, to launch the selection tool. I see that my lasso is active, but that's good, it is the one I want to use. I enclose my leaf by drawing around it, then Ctrl T to launch the transformation tool. I turn it, and hold down the Ctrl key to deform my rectangle with the handle. I validate by pressing Enter. I have the figure of my toucan, I'm going to draw over it now. So I create a layer.
So let me see if I
To
can
select
find
a color for my drawing, I hold down the
an
Alt
example
key,
of its
and
power
I click
here.
on the hold down the S key and move my drawing. I move, so I indicate a change of matter. I hold the R key to orient my view.
Because it seems so far just like a normal drawing app, but
I use the
I get the
shortcut
point that there
Control
is
0
more
to
going
adjust
on
the
here.
zoom to the view. And I hold D and move high. Perfect.
Okay,
Material brush for my
I'm trying to
pen.
find.
I
Okay, I can see here the nodes. I'll play around with this, void outs. I'm really curious about it. I always want to research, these new applications and try things out. I have never heard of this until you mentioned it to me. So I will definitely check it out on Steam. Okay, let's see. Let's do Nizia's roller test. How's that? Yeah, good point, Arch. One of my family members wanted to do some digital art, and I just told her, like, why don't you just work on the fundamentals? Work on, your line work and how color works and composition and but instead she really just wanted to get into digital art. And I said, that's not helping you. And now she's totally into AI art. Like, okay, well that's fun, but you're not learning how some of these amazing things that would be helpful for you. Okay, XP Pen roller test on Mac OS. So what I need for that is I have my Mac OS, which is the computer I'm using. I also have my MacBook. And I'll need an XP Pen roller pen. I have Clip Studio Paint and Krita installed already. Let me see. Oh, I need an XP Pen tablet. Okay, which one do I need? I think I need the Artist Pro 16 Gen 2. So that's in my tablet Grotto. Let me go get it. I'll be right back. Haha, okay. A slight change of plans. Unfortunately, Martin Anizio, I cannot test it because I can't find the X3 roller pen. Okay? That's why I was gone for so long. I was hunting. I found a tablet I can use. I can't find the pen. I know it's somewhere, but I just don't know where. Okay? So I will try again later. At the very worst, I'll do it after the stream. Sorry for that, the delay, and sorry I can't solve your answer your question right now. But yeah, I did search. I just can't find the pen. And you know how careful I am about labeling my pens. I just don't know where it is. And I checked. I have 90 something pens, and I checked as many as I could. And I could not find it. I even opened some boxes to see if they were in those boxes, and I couldn't find them. So I apologize, Nizio. Okay, but yeah, I'm back. The Grotto seems very treacherous. He's been gone for a while now. I'm back. I'm safe. One day I'll do a proper tour of the Grotto. I did a 30-second tour on YouTube, but I think people need to see it. Speaking of which, I have an inventory update for you. Okay, and this is not the right link. Give me a second. I need to open up Chrome and bring up some documents here. Let's see. T. Jonathan L. What tablet do you in general recommend buying for under €100? One by Wacom? Yeah. Answer is easy. It's one by Wacom, medium, CTL 672. Right? Easy answer. I'm going to do a video one day explaining why it is the goated beginner tablet. Okay? The only thing it's missing is tilt, and I don't think beginners need tilt. Okay? It's got high performance. The pen is excellent. Got very low IAF. Huiyon's professional pens are still not catching up to the pen in this consumer tablet. Okay? Okay. So I'm going to show you my collection just so people can understand. Oh gosh, Novan Afrianto. This is a good dilemma to have. Oh, I have to be honest with you. I would probably get the Cintiq 24 Touch. It's not that the Canvas 7 is bad. It isn't. It's a fine tablet. Let me tell you the reasons why I think the Cintiq 24 Touch is probably a better choice. First of all, I don't think you're getting much with the extra couple of inches. Okay, it's not going to make that big a difference. I think the 24-inch size, especially this specific tablet, is very convenient to have on the desk. 27 is just too much. It is just too much, right? Number two, look, Wacom is a known quantity, and we may have criticisms about the cost of their tablets, but they have been making these Cintiqs for, I don't even know how many years now, or pen displays, I should say. And they know what they're doing. And Huion, I think, and XP Pen and other competitors are still catching up with Wacom in terms of reliability. So I've used the 24. I was super happy with it. Yes, the Canvas Pro 27 has 4K, but at 27 inches, the pixels are starting to get big again, right? I mean, the PPI isn't as big as you might expect. I think the Cintiq 24 is a fantastic choice. It's a fantastic choice. Okay. Nizio says the XP Pen Deco Pro Gen 2 MW is around $100 on the website. Well, let's talk about the differences between this and the one by Wacom CTL 672. Okay. And by the way, I would be totally happy if someone got the Deco Pro Gen 2 MW. It's a totally fine tablet. I like the Deco Pro Gen 2. I used the XLW extensively for about a year, 6 months. Okay. But let's just talk about the differences that I would observe. Number one, there's just a tiny bit more pointer lag with the Deco Pro Gen 2. A normal person will not notice this, especially someone who's their first tablet or they don't have that much experience. Like, since I've used a Wacom tablet for almost 30 years, what I'd say is there's just a little bit of extra pointer lag in the Deco Pro Gen 2, and it makes the cursor feel a little floaty, just slightly. Now, I am nitpicking. I am not saying, oh, there's a bunch of lag, blah, blah, blah. Not saying that. I'm saying there's just a slight sensation of floatiness, and after a couple of days, that sensation went away because I got used to it, okay? But that's something you might notice. If you're sensitive to it, you might notice it. The second thing has to deal with the pens, okay? The pens, the pen that comes with the Wacom 1 CTL672 is a cheaper feeling pen. I'm not gonna lie, it has a cheaper feeling to it, like when you're holding it. It's a little bit lighter, it doesn't feel as substantial. It's a much more simple pen, doesn't have the kind of ergonomic shape, if you like that, of the Pro Pen, the X3 Pro Pen. However, it does have a noticeably lower initial activation force. The X3 Pro Pen has an initial activation force of about 3 gram force, and Tablet Expert Cube measured the, I forgot actually the model number, but the pen that comes with the 1 by Wacom to be less than 1 gram force, which is on par with their professional pens, okay? Maximum pressure for the pen that comes with the 1 by Wacom is pretty good. Actually, I think it's around 350 to 400 gram force. But the maximum pressure for the X3 Pro pens can be good or okay, but it's highly variable depending on the specific unit. So on balance, the pen from the Wacom will actually be better than the X3 pen that comes with the... But either one's fine. Either tablet is fine. I just want to let you know the differences that I saw. One more thing is to talk about XP Pen and that the Deco Pro Gen 2. The design is really modern. It's very slick. It's very professional looking. The pen also looks like a Pro Pen 2, a Wacom Pro Pen 2. So they win in that regard. If you like something that just looks good, it looks really good. The 1 by Wacom looks very plain. There's no getting around that, right? Also, I think the surface of the Deco Pro Gen 2 feels more premium. And then generally, the entire thing feels more premium, right? The 1 by Wacom is a little more plasticky. The only other thing that would point out is the 1 by Wacom has a micro USB port. If you're really picky about which ports your devices have, you might not want that, right? So I hope that added a little bit extra context. Okay, let me get to my inventory. You can tell how seriously I took the hunt for that, for the roller pen that Nizia wanted me to test, because I needed to get an extra Red Bull to just focus in and lock in on searching for that pen. Though I ultimately failed. Okay, so hang on a second, I'm just getting to the right place. And wouldn't you know, Microsoft is telling me, try logging in later into my OneDrive. What do you mean you can't sign me in right now? Of course you can. I'm literally signed in right now. Okay, now it works. Looks like Microsoft Cloud's having a few problems. Okay. So there's nothing secret here. This is a OneDrive folder, which is actually accessible to everyone. You're going to see it in a second. Oops, not this. I want this, yeah. And in a folder called Data, I have an inventory slide, or an inventory Excel. Let's open it in the browser. And let me open it up in the app, only because it might make it easier for me to do some filtering that way. Though, to be honest, I've actually never used Excel on a Mac. And I'm waiting for Excel on the Mac to launch. It may not be installed. That may be the other thing. Okay, so I guess I'm back to opening it in the browser. Why is background music turn off? Okay. Nizio says, I think the overall nicer feel of Deco Pro Gen 2, even though noticeable in the IF. Yeah, so look, either one will work fine. Either one will work fine. And I enjoyed using the Deco Pro Gen 2. So there was no, it wasn't like the one by Wacom was, such a big difference. T. Jonathan L. says, those were good points. I would draw on the Cintiq Pro 24. Need something portable. Yeah, and the both of the ones that were mentioned are very portable. Very, very portable. Okay, so I just want to show you, these are all my pens. Okay? And I have, we can count them down. At this point, I have 100 and, so the first row is the header, so I have 106 pens. Okay? And what's this date here? Oh, sorry, 106 tablets, my fault. I have exactly when I ordered them, so I can tell you when I ordered them. So from oldest to newest, right? So, I have to guess at this number, but I would say between 2020 and 2025, the last time I checked, I had spent $35,000 on tablets in this list. And that was when I had about 75 tablets in my inventory. I feel like now I'm in the $40,000 range. Easily, right? Let's see, Cringeroo. I just saw your video where you use an old Wacom tablet on your Android device. And I was wondering if the Intuos Pro Medium 2017 will work. Did I use a powered USB hub there? I did, and it does work. So let me, so Vodo, I'm at 40,000 at least now. I haven't done the full analysis, but I'm very sure I'm at 40,000, or more than 40,000. So let me, Cringer, let me just show you a piece of a data point, because I did some testing on this topic, and I did specifically test the Intuos Pro 2017 models. I may have specifically done even the medium size, but I just wanted to show you, where's my testing here? Android testing. Let me copy this and paste it in. Which ones did I test? So on this page, you'll see a link to the spreadsheet of testing results. Yeah, so I did test the medium, right? I tested it with several different Android devices that used Android 14 or 15, and those worked, right? So you got to keep in mind, you really need Android 14 or 15, I think, for these cases to work with this tablet. Let me paste in that Cringeroo into the chat, and you'll see. Okay. So this is my inventory of tablets, and then how many pens do I have? I now have 115 pens. Okay. So yeah, I have a lot of tablets. Now I do have some duplicates, but I have a lot of tablets, right? let's see. Okay, so I just want to show you where I'm at in my inventory. Now, speaking of inventory, there's going to be I think nice update, which is, if I can find it. Yeah. So I have good news. Let me spell the word available correctly. The Wacom Cintiq 16 2025 edition is now available for purchase. So if you go to, let me find a new window here. Let's get to Wacom. I just discovered this literally, I think, yesterday. So if I go to products and then Cintiq, can I scroll somewhere here? I'm waiting for the e-store to appear. Well, the long and short of it is, you can, at least in the US, now, I know this is confusing because it says sign up to be notified, but actually, the price is listed, which is the first good sign, and then you can add it to the cart. Okay? So it will show up in the cart, and you can actually buy it. How do I know? I actually bought it. At least, to be clear, I submitted an order, which they're reviewing. So it was $700. Let me actually, you know what? Right now, I'll check live to see if they processed the order. Let's take a look. I think I ordered either last night or very early this morning. Let's see. Where is the 7 pens? Other. Oh no, I need my other account. Okay, it says my Wacom order is under review. This is normal for Wacom when you order from their site. They review the order, especially I think when it's a newer tablet, and then they say, okay, then we're going through with the order. So anyway, this shouldn't take long. I'm expecting an email from them tomorrow, or this morning, my time, since it's just past midnight. And I'm hoping I'll get the tablet in a few days because the Cintiq 24 Touch came in just a few days after my order. So as soon as it comes in, I'll do another live stream and we can answer any questions about the Cintiq 16, and I think it's going to be great. My only disappointment with it is it doesn't have touch, which I think would have been a super nice touch in addition to this tablet. So I'll live stream that as soon as it arrives. Okay. Next is, someone sent a link. I'll go ahead and just open it up to a tier maker, which is this place. Let me just go ahead and open. How do I copy this? Copy. And I think this is actually, someone had made a tier list for tablets. I think this is for ones that are actually for OSU, actually. Or ones you could for OSU. Now, I did a tier list back in toward the end of 2024, the very beginning of 2025. And I thought about doing a tier. We can do a tier list now if you want, but I thought I'd wait for at least the Wacom Cintiq 16 to arrive, because that's going to affect the tier list. And actually, to be honest, I want to wait until we get more models from Huion or XP Pen, because there's kind of a lull right now where we haven't seen anything from Huion in quite a while, actually. And I don't want to do the tier list and then suddenly it become invalid. So I'm going to wait a little bit longer, and I'm anticipating toward the end of the year, Huion and XP Pen will have more tablets in the market, newer ones, and then I'll revise the tier list, okay? So I just want to make sure, for those of you who are wondering where the tier list is that I previously talked about, I did live stream it, and I did update it after the live stream. Let's go ahead and I'll put the link in here. Yeah, it was in December of 2024, okay? So there you go. I'll paste it in here. That was a super, super fun live stream. And you can see, here it is actually. Let me just show it to you, right? This is the tier list as it existed, I think, with some updates. Cintiq Pros, Canvas Pros, the new 19 and 27, the Moving 13. Of course, this is dominated by Wacom, the S tier, right? And yeah, this is after the updates I made. The only ones I was really giving pretty harsh criticism to was the Wacom One medium and small, which are the recent pen tablets. But Wacom has improved the firmware for these, so I'd probably move these up to D tier instead of F. I know it's not a big change, but definitely better than F. Okay, next topic. Oh yeah, so many of you know. I know, isn't that funny, void outs? Like, I think they did improve the tablets, so maybe D tier is being excessive. Maybe it should be actually in C tier, but they just have a pressure problem, and I think it's pretty obvious what that problem is. And I'm hoping that future firmware updates improve that problem. For people who want to know what that problem is, let me know. I'll show you what the problem is. Yeah, Arch, that's right. The Canvas Pro 19 and Canvas Pro 727. Huion deserves a lot of credit because they improved the displays, they improved the form factors, they improved the pens. This was 2024, and by extension 2025. They cleaned up. You know, I did the 7 Pens Drawing Tablet Awards to begin 2025, and Huion did great in my awards ceremony, right? And I think it's well deserved. So I am really just waiting for Huion to bring their PenTech 4.0 and some of these other display improvements to the rest of their line. And when they do that, they're going to be right up there with Wacom. Now, are these Wacom still better? Okay, let me try to address this. This is a fun topic. I don't think I've actually... If Wacom's engineering is pretty good, and the more I learn about the engineering they do, the more impressed I am. Okay. And one thing I've realized is, and I have a hard time conveying it because I'm not like an electrical engineer, and hardware is new to me. I'm a software guy. Okay. Wacom's engineering of these tablets and the pens is so good, but the way we use them doesn't really challenge them, if that makes any sense. In other words, these are high performance machines. You don't realize it because even in your normal drawing, you're not testing the limits of these tablets. And so there are ways in which their technology is better, which I have a hard time conveying because I myself am not an expert in every facet of it. So I want to recognize that. They just really are very good. However, for most of us who are drawing, which includes me, you'll have a hard time noticing any difference. And so are other non-Wacom competitors catching up to Wacom? Yes. Will they get better? Yes. Is Wacom still technically the best? Yes. I don't have a problem saying that. Do they make some mistakes? Sure. And some of their models I don't like. But they're still in the lead technologically. However, that lead is getting hard to perceive for a lot of people, right? And so for a lot of tablets now, Huion and then XP Pen are capable alternatives, okay? And Arch, you mentioned that you can't wait to see how things are in five something years. I agree, and I have the same feeling. Huion and XP Pen are one generation, maybe 2 generations from a normal person, even if they were professional, whatever that means, would not be able to tell the difference, okay? You just wouldn't be able to. Yes, if you're like a tablet scientist, you could construct a situation where you could say, oh, I see that this pen from Wacom is better. But that would be a really artificial thing to do, right? I can do that today. I can create a situation where I can show you there's a difference between a Wacom tablet and a Huion tablet, but like no human being would draw that way, right? Or like it's just insane. So it's going to be really good for us because what that means is all tablets will be good. And once all tablets will be good, somehow these companies are going to have to find some other things to compete on, because the baseline of all tablets is going to be excellent. So maybe Wacom will continue down the path of adding touch to all their tablets, or have better color support, right? Maybe Huion and XP Pen will add bigger bezels, right? They'll do something. Let's see, Nizio says, a bit out of topic, but I sent a Darth Vader doodle. Oh yeah, let's take a look. Let's take a look. I'm happy to do React for any content, always. Let me find the React channel in our Discord. And by the way, let me just say it for everybody. If you want me to show some of your art on this live stream, join our Discord. I'm going to put the Discord link in the live stream. And there's a channel called Livestream-React. That means paste something there, and I'll react to it. Okay, so let's see. How do I get this window over there? Look at this. Oh, I love it. I love it. Again, for those of you who are seeing Nizio/Martin's art, whenever I see this style, to me it's Mike Mignola, right? Who the artist and I think writer for Hellboy. I love strong lines like this and lots of play between light and dark. What do they call that? Chiaroscuro. I love that, and this is exactly the kind of thing I get into. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, let's see. Nizio, I feel like they're half a generation away. Like if Huion releases something like a 4.5 Pentec, I think that would be at the level of Pro Pen 2 or 3. Yeah, it's the only thing they really have to do with this hypothetical Pentec 4.5 is make the IF go a little lower. Other than that, the pen is right there. And by the way, I think many people cannot tell the difference between a low IAF pen and a slightly higher one, like 3 gram force versus Wacom. And there's a bunch of reasons behind that, but I think most people would not be able to tell, honestly. Only some would. In my opinion, XP Pen is at the Wacom level. They're just at the 15-year-old grip pen level. But let's not be too dismissive. The grip pen's a fantastic pen, right? So being at the grip pen level is good. It is really good. He is a huge inspiration. Yeah, he is just. I'm not a huge fan so much of the comic itself, but his art is unbelievable. Like, it's instantaneous. People don't know who I'm talking about, maybe, so let's make sure everyone knows. He deserves some recognition. Mike. Almost certainly you've seen his art, right? Let's just take a look at some images here. I'm always scared of looking at images on... Okay, this looks safe. You see what I'm saying about the light and dark here? Oh, you can't see it, of course. What am I doing here? Okay, here we go. Look at this. Right? I love this. Or another classic one. Oops, I skipped over that. Beautiful. Usually I don't see it colored this way, this kind of maybe a watercolor look, but looks great. What's another one? Classic. I think, Nizio, now you can see the images. Sorry for the confusion. I always get tripped up on what you're seeing versus what I'm seeing. Everything about his art just really appeals to me. And yeah, the way Nizio says the way he frames characters with shadow is amazing. Yeah, if doesn't matter what the scene is, he will find a way to get some shadow in there, right? And strong shadows, and it just looks amazing. And he does these little things. I just want to point out here, like let's just say this is Conan or something. These little lines he makes on the characters, right? And they're not exactly texture lines. There's something, but they just give it some kind of texture, or they imply a texture without literally trying to say that's the texture. Like, and so I just like that style. Stark Stefan said 3D says, I'm a Huion user. I see that the growth level, they only need to work on driver more, but the budget friendly, yeah, they're very budget friendly, and they're getting there. They're just right at the edge of being a Wacom. The only thing, and I would just add one more thing to what you're saying. This is true for XP Pen as well. And this is true for anybody, and even Wacom, by the way. I would like to see all brands just improve the long-lasting and reliability parts of their tablets. And just so everyone understands what I'm talking about, you know, it's building a product is like a statistical process, right? And so some percentage of tablets are non-functional in some way, right? This is just the truth. That's why there is customer support. That's why there are refund policies, et cetera, return policies. So I would just like all competitors just move a little more forward to just create more reliable tablets, right? And once they do that, we're in a golden age. We're in a golden age. Anyway, that was Mike Mignola. Check his art out. One of my favorites. And Nizio/Martin's art always has reminded me of that, the ones I've seen anyway. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yeah. I wanted to show you. Sometimes I show people information about pens and pressure behavior. And let me find one of the presentations. Give me a second. It's on the OneDrive. Just so you understand what I'm saying. I believe it is slide library. Yeah, I think I found it. Okay. So, this is a slide deck that I use when I need to talk about pen pressure and how different pens behave. And let's just take an example here. I'm going to scroll to, let me find it, Wacom Pro Pen 2, which is still probably my favorite pen. And so on the x-axis is how hard I'm actually pressing according to a digital scale. And on the y-axis is the pressure level reported by the computer as a percentage. And you can see, this classic shape. I have tested here 6 pens, and they're very similar in their performance. And you see the maximum pressure tops out here. It depends on the pen, specific unit, 700 to 800 or 900 gram force, right? That's quite a high maximum pressure. You don't need to have it that high. And the OK, good, excellent refers to where the maximum pressure ends. So I have all these charts, and I got a great question. People wanted to look at the data. So it was not really published, but I published them. And I'm going to go there and let you know what's been published and how to get to it and what is there. So how do I do this? Let me close this. Sorry, sneezing. Allergies are really kicking in for me. Okay, let me copy this, and we're going to get there. It's a public GitHub repo. Okay, it's under data files. And these files don't use them to understand IAF, because they're not good for that. But this is for overall pressure response. So let's just go to Wacom, and you can see Wacom Pro Pen 3 is ACP 500. And let's pick on one of these. And they're all JSON files. Each measurement session is one JSON file. So this one was done on March 25th, and this is for a pen. It says WA0030. That's an ID, an inventory ID. right? And because I label all my pens, let me show you. There's a little piece of tape on all my pens that says the inventory ID. So this is HUP 1017. Huyan, H-U-P for pen, 1017. So I can track a pen over time. Anyway, this is the JSON, and this, again, the first record contains, there are these pairs, right? The first one is the physical force. This is a 3.1 gram force. If I press down that hard, the computer says the pressure value is zero. This is percentage value, right? So it's 0.14%, right? So let's go all the way to the top. If I press down with 643.6 gram force, then the reported pressure value is 99.82. You'll notice almost never do I show 100, because it's really hard to get to 100%, because if you go over, it still says 100%. So I try to get as close as possible, but I don't try to go over or be at 100%, because you can't tell if you're over or not. So I just want to let you know this data is all public. About 73 different measurement sessions here. And later this year, I'll measure the other 20-something pens that I've added. And what I want to do is I want a web page where you don't have to look at the GitHub, and you don't have to use Excel. You can just go to a web page, and you can select which pens you want and compare them and see the measurements. Because it's a pain to have to look through this PowerPoint, which is stale. I'd like this web page to be live. And if people want to contribute their own measurements, let's see that. So it's a resource I want to make available for you. Okay, I need to take a slight break. I'll be right back. Sorry, that was a sneeze break, by the way. Okay, let's get back here. Take a look at the chat. Stark Stefan says, is there any chance to develop driver customization if we are under brand improving software driver? Yeah, there is. So we can't customize their driver. However, there is something you can do. And I'm going to show you what it is. There's a thing called Open Tablet Driver. Okay? And, especially on Windows, it takes a little bit of expertise to understand how to install. Overall, it's not hard. It's just, I wouldn't recommend it for the average person. But it's an open source driver. The source code's all there. It's compatible with over 200 tablets. Okay? And in fact, one of my laptops is dedicated to Open Tablet Driver. This one, the Surface Pro 8. It doesn't have the Wacom driver on it. It has Open Tablet Driver on it. And one of the benefits are Open Tablet Driver has plugins. So that you can do there's all sorts of different plugins. You can write your own plugins. It's super low latency. It's got the least amount of lag of any tablet driver out there. And people use it for playing OSU, but you can use it for art as well. But you can customize the behavior in any way you want, right? And there are things you can do with Open Tablet Driver with plugins that you're not allowed to do with Wacom. Now, it doesn't have every feature that you'd find in a normal tablet driver, but it has a lot, and you can make it do a lot more. So check it out, Open Tablet Driver. And I actually did a document explaining a little bit more about it. So I'll paste the link to the doc there, Tablet Driver. Yeah, I'll just paste this in. This is not meant to take the place of the Open Tablet Driver documentation, but since my audience doesn't maybe not be, as technically, they're artists, many of them, I thought it deserved a little extra explanation of how to set it up and why it's relevant, right? So you may want to start with, but check it out. They have a very active dev community. They have a Discord, which is linked. You can go there. They have support channels, and Again, the fact that you can write your own plugins is pretty interesting because you can really modify its behavior if you want to. Check it out. And if you want to, also, you can join, let me paste it in there. You can join our Discord because we do have at least one Open Tablet Driver developer, which is Cube, on the Discord, the Drawing Tablet Discord, and lots of other people who are just very technical about tablets, and lots of artists as well. Okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. The next thing is, a few weeks ago, I did a stream on the history of Wacom professional pen tablets. That was a long 3-hour stream where we showed tablets from 1987, and we used many of the tablets, and actually used Open Tablet Driver to show you some of these things. But I just want to let you know I'm updating some content, which is, if you go to my website, my document website, and let me zoom out a little bit, how's that? And if you scroll down somewhere here, under product links, Wacom. I don't expect you to navigate this, I just wanted to show you where the stuff is. I'm actually creating pages for each Wacom tablet that I covered, beginning with the SD series, right? So I actually started, sorry, you can't see, of course. Okay, my mistake. So on my website, I have, Wacom Intuos Pro, Intuos 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way to the UD and SD series. So this was the one from 1987, and I've started documenting what these tablets are, my notes about using them, just sort of things that are not captured right now on the internet. Why aren't they captured? Because these tablets came out in 1987 before the internet. So I'm trying to sort of, make sure there's a place where we have information about these tablets. Oh, thanks for the comment, Stark Stefan. Yeah, I love talking about tablets. You know what's funny? My channel isn't really even about tablets. I wanted a channel that goes deep into creative technology, but it just so happens that there's so much to learn about tablets and drivers and how, that's where I started. So there's lots more to cover here. And the other thing I want to do here, because I'm buying a bunch of tablets, that's how I ended up with 106 of them. Specific ones, like I bought the SD510C, and I still have to write notes on it, but I'm trying to make sure there's a photo archive of these tablets. So people are sometimes, they don't know what these tablets look like anymore. So I'm photographing them as I get them so that you'll know exactly what Wacom tablets look like and interesting features they had, right? So this is going to be a resource. I'll develop this over time. So I started with SD series, and I'll just show you, just because, again, it's visual. I did with the Intuos. Is it published here? I think I did. Hang on. Okay, I guess I didn't put it. Oh, here it is. Okay, yeah. Intuos. Here's the Intuos, the first Intuos, which is a professional tablet in 1998. And so you can see some of the packaging, right? And I'll keep on updating these as I play with them more. If you have questions about them, let me know. I'll try to make sure this is answering the questions people will have, because I think in the future, people will come to use this a little bit more as a reference, because the information about tablets wasn't published then, and if I don't write it down, it'll never be captured, okay? Especially not at this level of detail. Okay, so that's about my, let's see, let me just double check and see what other content I want to talk about. PDF annotation, oh yeah, this is, let me make this a little bigger. So this is content I intend to work on. One of my Discord users, Hera, I believed, mentioned that they annotate PDFs a lot. Now, I get that question a lot on Reddit, but I never answer because I just don't have any experience. So I'm going to be working on developing some content about what apps and techniques you can have on various platforms like iOS, Windows, etc., to edit PDFs, right? So if you have apps that you know are good for this, let me know, because I'll add that to my documentation. Okay, and that covers sort of like the basic news and updates stuff I had for you. And for the rest, I'll take any Q&A or react to any content you have. I'm going to work on some content for the Cintiq 24 Touch, against a working stream. So I see no one has any questions in the chat, so I'm just going to start working on stuff. And if you have questions, let me know. Or any other content we have or topics, just bring it. Oh, sorry, there's one more thing. Many of you know I'm streaming a lot lately. This is my third stream in, I think, 4 or 5 days. I'm thinking about doing something. So I call this stream Tablets and Chill because there's no real agenda. And I think I'll keep doing these, actually, if people want them. But I'm also thinking about doing something more regular, which is in office hours. So that, because my Tablet and Chill streams are random. They don't happen at any specific point. I don't commit to doing them. I just do them when I'm feeling in the mood. I've just been in the mood more often lately. But for office hours, that's more of a dedicated time for people to ask questions, especially people on Reddit who need help. So that's something I wanted to get your input. Do you think it's a good idea? Do you have preferences on, how to conduct it or the kind of content I should cover? Just let me know. And with that, I'm just going to go spend the remaining time working on some content, which means working on some questions, answering some questions on Reddit and the YouTube channel, and getting some content done on my website. And if people want to chat as I'm working, let me know. I'm more than happy to engage. Hi, Eric. Glad you joined us. I just mentioned you, actually. We were talking about annotating PDFs, and I mentioned 2 of the apps you mentioned to me, which is, Edge was one of them, and the File app on iPad. So you contributed to the stream, and I'm not shutting down the stream. I'm still just gonna keep on working for a while. So if people have questions, just speak it out, and I will address them as I work. So right now, I'm just gonna go to the YouTube channel, and I'm gonna answer questions. Because I'm behind. Channel comments and questions. Let's see. Why don't I see? I know I have a bunch of comments, but I'm not seeing why. Okay, someone's actually asking about the release dates of the Cintiq 24 Touch. I always give a thumbs up. It should start appearing in all regions very soon. The US store is now even selling Cintiq 16. Great. I like to take care of these questions. I'm so behind on these. Let's see. Ryan Ty Cook. Give him a thumbs up for saying it's a great video. How does the display resolution look when reviewing PDFs? Hera, do you want me to test? I did not test. Actually, no, I did. Well, did I? Yeah, I did test. Yes. It does work. And we know it works for 2 reasons. Number 1, I tested it. Number 2, it's of the same generation of some other pens. So usually if one pen works, then they all work, right? But if you want me, I'm more than happy to test it out right live. Just let me know. Let me reply to this guy. It's a good question. I'll try out some I'll say first, I personally found it high resolution enough. Definitely 4K would have been super sharp, have been noticeable. I always misspell noticeable, by the way. A noticeable upgrade in pixel density. For as I write up my notes, I write my notes this week. I'll focus on the sharpness specifically. Okay. Okay, and Harris says, it's fine if you got stuff to catch up on. I can skim the unboxing stream or wait. Hey, let me just do it right now. Like, if you're interested in it, I'm here for you all. So just give me a second. I'll test it out, okay? Before I do that, Nizio does have a question. If you could only keep one large pen display, one medium pen display, and one pen tablet. It's a tough question. Okay. You know, it's like a relationship. You got to answer from the heart. Okay. So, hot take. One large pen display, Cintiq Pro 22. I don't like the fan noise, but it's excellent. It is excellent. So that's the one that's the one, yeah. Medium pen display. Right now, it would probably be. It depends if you want to call it medium, but it would be the Canvas Pro 19. Now, having said that, I think the Cintiq 16 2025 might become that, right? And for pen tablet, Intuos Pro Large 2017 model, PTH 860. I'm still not adapted to the 2025 model, so I would go with the 2017 model. Nizio, why 22 instead of 24? Because, the 22 is 4K, right? That's what pushes it over the edge. And by the way, I'm not fixated on the resolution. I am not. But it can't hurt. Okay? It can't hurt. That's what pushes it over the edge. Oh, Stark Stefan, how many? Oh, we just went over the numbers actually before you joined. I have 116 drawing tablets and about 97 pens. We actually looked through the list before you joined. And the total cost for all that I've spent since 2020, when I was at 75 tablets, I'd spent $35,000. Now I'm very sure it's well into $40,000. Let's see. Which you personally feel is very good for you in your hand. Sorry, I'm asking this question. How many pens do you have, and which do you like personally? I think I think ergonomics-wise, the ones that stand out to me still are the Intuos Pro still stands out to me. For tablets, for pens, actually all of them feel good right now. The Huion PW 600 series feels good. the the Pro Pen 2, I still kind of prefer over the Pro Pen 3, honestly. The X3 pen, Pro Pen, feels good. All of them are pretty tied, honestly. Yeah, this is a hard question, because it's about, it depends on personal tolerance for pixelation. I would say physical size overall, though, matters more because it has to fit your work style, right? Now, at a certain point, if the resolution is too low, it's going to be irritating. But overall, I would prioritize physical size a little bit more than resolution. Have I ever talked about how I got started with tablets? I have not really, but I will. I tell you what, let me go get the Cintiq 24, and as I'm setting it up, we'll talk about it, okay? So just give me a minute. I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. I've located the Cintiq 24. Let me just create some space here. And let me get them clean off this desk. Wanted to let you, oops, that's not the right place. Hang on. Let's point it at the right place. Where is it? You don't want to see me and my face just talk about moving and cleaning my desk, right? You want to see the actual cleaning going on. Let's see. There we go. Don't you like that zoom in? This is my Red Bull out of the way. And this is the Cintiq 24. What's in front of me here is a Move Ink. Okay, so while I get this set up, how did I get started? Well, as you guys know, I am a little bit older than many of you because I was born in the early 70s. And like many kids at the time, I was into comic books, okay? And of course, what motivated me to draw was replicating what I saw in comic books. I think I can remember the first comic book I ever bought, which was it was an Avengers annual, where the Avengers were in like the Himalayas and they were fighting some guy from outer space called Nebulon. And it was, it really captured my mind. I just loved the drama of the story. Of course, I don't even think I was 10 years old then. But that, this dramatic life really appealed to a young boy's mind. So as computers started getting into the mix, and, I was one of the few people that had a computer back in the 80s in my town in West Virginia. I had a koala pad, which is a very early kind of tablet. Very primitive. Like the resolution is 256 by 256. That isn't a screen. That was the number of different positions. The koala pad active area was like this, like really tiny. So imagine 256 positions. You could just barely. Back then, screens weren't very detailed. Like a screen might be 320 pixels by 200. So that was actually okay. Okay. So that's how I got into tablets, and then I drew for a long time, and I gave up. I drew with a mouse for a very long time, and eventually, I remember actually in magazines, I would see advertisements for tablets. Now, some of these tablets were really not meant. They really weren't tablets as you and I know them today. Like they were meant for like architects and stuff. I think less for art. But I knew they existed in the 90s, like in the mid 90s, once I was in grad school. And then one day, I'm walking. From my apartment to one of my campus locations where I was a grad student, so I had a little office. And I needed to stop by like the computer store in the university, which is Vanderbilt. And they sold things like floppy disks and mice and things like that. And I saw they had one of these tablets. It was a Wacom. It was probably an Art Z2 or maybe a Art Pad 2. I remember it because it was so colorful, and I bought it immediately, like just immediately. And that was 1990. That was either 1995 or 96. Could have been 94, but it's in the mid 90s. Let's just say. Okay. And I've been using tablets since the mid 90s. I've used even before I started my channel, I used every professional Wacom tablet that had the word Intuos in it. Okay, every one of them. It wasn't actually. I didn't even know the Wacom consumer tablets existed until, I don't know, 15 years ago. Okay, now I need to find a MacBook here. You would love to see the action on Intuos 2017. So let me make sure I understand here. You wanted me to use the Art Pen on the Cintiq 24, right? And the Intuos 2017. I'm happy to do both. I just want to double check which ones you wanted me to test the Art Pen with. Happy to do both. But I think you definitely wanted me to do the Cintiq 24. So that's what I'm starting with. Let's see. This is right. Okay. The MacBook is plugged in. to remember how to turn on the Cintiq. Buttons on the lower right. Okay, you want, yeah, if you want both, we can do both. And can you just paste in what pressure issues they were, or describe what pressure issues they were talking about? Now the Cintiq 24 is, the power light is red and it's slowly going up, meaning it's lighting up and slowly fading away. It's almost like it's not getting enough power. So we got to figure out why that is. Okay? It is correctly connected to power as far as I can tell. So let's verify this. A little mystery, huh? Maybe that was loose? Hold down the power button a little longer. Okay, whatever it is that went from red to blue. No signal? What do you mean no signal? What do you mean no signal, buddy? Oh, no wonder. Turns out to make this work, this cable actually has to be plugged in. Huh. Not just loosely dangling near the port. It actually has to be in the port. Okay, I can solve that problem. Let's try this again. There we go. Okay. Let's see, Hera has pasted in. FYI, in my measurements, the art pen's pressure range is not as high or consistent as ProPen 2. Ah, yes. It's my message. Okay, we'll talk about that. I've got the data points to show you. Okay, let me find the art pen. Now, if I'm right, I tested it, and it should be in this pen holder. Oh, I don't see it here, so maybe I didn't test it, huh? Let me check. Oh no, here it is. I think I did test it. Here it is. Here's the art pen. KP701E. Let me delete this and let's just test it out. So I'm just going to do a subjective test with this versus a ProPen 3, since I know the ProPen 3 models I have are very consistent. Actually, let me double check. I don't want to do anything weird with the pressure curve here. Definitely this ProPen 3 has a higher maximum pressure than this art pen, but it does work, right? It does work. Now, anything else you want me to try with the Cintiq 24? Because it does work fine. I mean, like there's no problem with this at all, right? Apparently the IF wasn't as good as the ProPen 2. I don't know. I think we'll take a look. Cube is the best. I am not good at measuring IF, but I can give you a subjective test. I'm drawing as light as I can. Where is it? Let me get the ProPen 2, just because we want to be comparing exactly the ones you're talking about. Okay. ProPen 2. Art pen. Probably, I would say the art pen's a little more not sensitive. It's it maps the pressure, it ramps up the pressure a bit more. So if you're using, it varies by the pen, but I would say if you want really thin controlled strokes with the art pen, a little bit of a pressure curve is going to help you quite a bit. So IF feels great. Hera, feels great. And so I can't tell you the difference between the initial activation force. Cube measured the Pro Pen 2 model and the Art Pen, and he says that the IAF is less than 1 gram force in both cases. I believe it, right? I believe it. Now, you mentioned the max pressure, so let's make sure everyone sees what the max pressure is. Let me find it. I don't want there to be any doubt, I assure you, about these things. Okay, so I'll show you exactly what I was talking about with the maximum pressure. Let me bring up PowerPoint. Where is it? Maybe I'm crazy. I can't even see where PowerPoint is right now. Is it here? Sometimes I do actually get confused with how Macs work, to be completely honest. Don't save. I've got so many windows up too. That's not helping me. Okay, where is the darn window? Hang on. Even I'm confused where this thing went to. Am I just crazy? Oh, here it is. I don't think it was coming up. I just couldn't. I was just personally confused about what was happening. There we go. Okay. So first, let's do a baseline. What does the Pro Pen 2 actually behave? And here it is, right? Max pressure for 6 units ends up right about here, between 700 gram force and 900. Ignore the IF. Key thing is the shape, the pens are consistent, and it has a high max pressure. Now, I used to consider 700 above as excellent for max pressure, but actually, in a previous stream, I talked to some people, and Cube was there, and we decided 500 would be a better choice for excellent. So this is because you don't really need more than that. So this is excellent. Now let's take a look at the Art Pen. I only have 2 units, KP701E. So it came the 2 units are like this. One came very close to 500 gram force, which is my new excellent. The other one was just okay. So again, this is a very small sample size. But the IAF was not the problem. Again, you can't use these measurements for IAF. You have to rely on Cube. But, I just saw more variance here. Now, could have been me. I could have been the source of variance. I don't think so, because when I cause mistakes in these charts, the mistakes don't create curves that look like this. They look weirder in certain ways. They're kind of hard to describe. But I can retest these. So I think the Art Pen is about as good as it ever was. But I just only have 2 models, and to be honest, the last time I checked, the Art Pens are so expensive. Even I was not willing to pay those prices on eBay to get, a $200 Art Pen, right? Whatever people are selling them for. Okay, let's get back to the chat. Yeah, Kay, it is strange that Wacom doesn't release a new Art Pen. Lots of speculation why. But I think the old Art Pen, I don't know if it's still being made. I assume it's not, but it's getting hard to find. I think they need to start it back up. Not just because there's so many people that use barrel rotation, but because it's important. Right? It's important, especially with the Apple Pencil, the new Apple Pencil supporting barrel rotation. You got to have this feature. Okay, Hera asked me to look at barrel rotation, correct? Let me make sure. Barrel, yeah, okay. So how do we test barrel rotation? This is good. Now, is everyone clear what barrel rotation is? I just want to make sure. So barrel rotation is, here's paper, or here's the tablet. It isn't this rotation, okay? It's this rotation. You can see how it's rotating along, okay? And it can be any angle, as long as it's rotating around its major axis, okay? That's barrel rotation. Just to see. Yeah, $200 is crazy for an art pen. I would never do it. Ben Boykmas, who just woke up, thanks for joining us. We're in the middle of just answering questions, playing, as I often do. We're testing the art pen, and Hera wanted to know if barrel rotation works. So I was just explaining what barrel rotation is for anyone who... I see a lot of people who confuse barrel rotation for tilt, and I just want to make sure that's clear. And just to be even more clear, this is not barrel rotation, okay? That's actually tilt. Barrel rotation, again, is this movement. Sorry, I have to hold the bottom up, otherwise it's this rotation. Doesn't have to be straight up, it can be like this and rotating like this, okay? So that's the test. Can you roll it in your fingers and will it pick that up? Okay. So how do we do that? Pretty simple. Actually, we need to find a brush. It's let me go. It's easiest to notice with a brush that is not symmetric, or that is not a circle, right? Or symmetric around the pointer. So let's find a brush that isn't like that. By the way, one thing about using the Cintiq 24, your arm has to reach up here. Okay? Now I'm 6 feet tall. My arm's a little bit long for someone that height. And this can get awkward. This can get like, I wouldn't want to keep reaching out like this, okay? Like there's actually some strain. So be aware of that with these larger tablets. Now this is a little bit away from me. If I move this a little closer, it won't be that bad. But that's one of the downsides of using a large device like this. Here it's a bit easier because my arm is resting, but it's worn out from holding it like that, okay? Anyway, let's find I'm looking for a brush that has a rectangular or some weird shape that's obvious for you to see. Let's try this one. Okay, this may actually work here. Let me delete everything I've drawn. I'm gonna set the brush color to white, because I don't want you to see it draw. Okay, so notice, first of all, that this movement here, can you see it? I'm not sure you can. Don't worry, I need to fix this. I can fix it too. You've got to see it to believe it. Let's see, ISO. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Let's see. I can zoom in a lot more, actually. This is going to be fun. I've actually never demoed barrel rotation like this, so. Let me go up. Oops, I meant down. Not that down. Sorry, this thing does not have as delicate control as I would hope. Okay, this should be visible for all of you. Okay, so let's, again, you can see I'm hovering, okay? I'm hovering, okay? Now, you're wondering why it's rotating. That's because it's having trouble figuring out what to do with this thing hovering. So don't worry about the rotation of the brush right there. I'm not touching the thing. I'm just moving it in circles in the air, okay? But this has nothing to do with barrel rotation. And so what I want to do, now I'm touching the surface. And notice it is rotating, right? Now it's rotating, but I'm not barrel rotating. This is just tilt, okay? This is just tilt. And the size is gonna get confusing. So the first thing I'm gonna do is stop the size from changing. Okay? There. Okay, all rotation right now is because of tilt, not barrel rotation. What I want to do is spin it and to see it rotate. Now I'm spinning the pen, there's no rotation, okay? So this pen does support rotation, but nothing is causing spinning. Even though I'm spinning the pen, this shape is not spinning, okay? So we have to make sure the brush is doing something there. So for rotation, instead of drawing angle, I'm going to pick a different one. Now I forget which one it is. I think I have to set rotation to rotation. I think that's the... there we go. I think this is it. Okay, so let's just try it out. That's it. That's barrel rotation. Notice what's happening. I have to put my finger here, otherwise to steady it. I'm rotating the pen. And you're seeing the rotation. That's barrel rotation. So barrel rotation does in fact work. Okay? Now you see the difference between barrel rotation and tilt. There's something else you're probably noticing. This is normal. There's a little bit of lag between me physically moving the pen and barrel rotation in the app. It's not because of Krita. This is just, there's some extra lag in the processing, okay? But that's barrel rotation. So, Hera, I know it was a long explanation. It does work. Joseph K. What do you think offers the best drawing experience between Pro Pen 2, 3, and Apple Pencil Pro? The Apple Pencil Pro is very good. Some people hate it, the way it works. I like it a lot. I think the Pro Pen 2 / Pro Pen 3 are better for drawing. And the reason they're better for drawing is this. First of all, I think the nib experience feels more natural. That's part one. Part two is they actually have real buttons, which I think is helpful. Part three is Pro Pen 2, but not Pro Pen 3, has an eraser. So that's important for some people. By the way, Wacom is introducing a Pro Pen 3E, which does have an eraser. So they're going to add that back in. So the nib feeling, the buttons, and the eraser are, I think, the reasons why I think the Pro Pen 2 / Pro Pen 3 are better for drawing, right? IAF is comparable as far as I have heard and have experienced. Max pressure is high in both cases. My Apple pencils seem to have a max pressure, which I've tested, at about 500 gram force, which is excellent, right? And they're very consistent at that. So they're both good pens. I would say a lot of people just they don't like the feeling of the Apple Pencil, like the way it touches the glass. And I think that's a superior aspect of the nib, right? On the other hand, I think the Pro Pen 2, 3, they're more delicate. Like, I wouldn't drop them. But I think the Apple Pencil seems to survive, is more rugged, more sort of sturdily put together. Ink Blaster, good to see you. What do you want me to do? And if you can tell me why you want me to try the flat brush, that would also help. And Hera, you wanted me to try an Intuos 2017 also. Give me a second, and I'll get one, and I'll try it. 1 second. Yeah, Harry, you've got a great point. I think with 500 gram force is kind of okay. With the Pro Pen 2, some of them are like 800 something gram force. At that level, it does begin getting scary. Like, you start to feel like you shouldn't be doing it, right? Like something is going to break inside the pen, even though the pen has worked after that. That's why I say you don't really need something that's 800 or 900 gram force. It's not useful, right? It's not useful. Okay, I have the Intuos Pro 2017. You want me to test barrel rotation on it with the art pen? That's what we're gonna do. See, Ink Blaster says flat brush is very useful when I use the art pen. So you use barrel rotation. Okay. See, I'm not a barrel rotation user. I've done it. I've tried it, but my art style is not really conducive to it. But I know some people really, really need it. Like, they depend on it. Okay, I'm plugging in. You can't see it, so I'm gonna have to zoom out a little bit. Okay, let me move this a little bit. This is kind of a nice view. I like this camera setup. I'm so happy I added this camera. I think it's a much better view than the top-down view. It's more interesting. Let's see, I gotta plug this in. If anyone's wondering, the camera is the Obsbot Tail 2. Strange name, and not exactly a cheap camera, but it works so nicely. Yes, I will allow this accessory to connect. Let's hope that... Okay, the pointer is not going here, it's going off to my other monitor, so I need to fix that. By going to the Wacom center and changing the mapping to map to okay, looks like I'm gonna have to use not Wacom center but the Wacom tablet pro. Wacom tablet and system settings. Sorry, I know you can't see it. Just this won't take long. There we go. Okay, now when I draw here, you should barely be able to see the and here. Let me rotate, and you can see Hera. Barrel rotation works. It's totally fine. Okay? So let me know if that answered all your questions. But I think we've established that the art pen works with both models and barrel rotation works with both. Let's see. Ink Blaster says, saves me time. This is about barrel rotation. In changing brushes instead, just tilting it to adjust my brush size. So wait, Ink Blaster, you're talking about tilt or barrel rotation? Just want to double check. And Harris says, when I use barrel rotation, I use oval-shaped brushes or flat ones. Okay, yeah, it would make sense. If your brush is symmetrical like a circle, it doesn't matter. Just so everyone understands what I'm saying. If your brush is I think this is circular. Oh, that's oval. That's too small. I'm trying to find a circular brush. That's actually oval, but you can see how hard it is to detect the change, right? Yeah, let us know if you can find one that isn't so expensive. I'm desperately hoping, Wacom will introduce a new art pen. I don't believe they will, but I hope. Or that somehow, someone's going to open up an old barn and discover a hidden cache of thousands of art pen that were, someone buried to protect them or something, and they'll be available on eBay. That would be maybe the only option we have for getting some cheap art pens. Like I wanted to go buy like 3 or 4, but at 200, actually let's just check. Let's just check and see what the status is of the art pen on eBay, since we're bringing this topic up. Yeah, Joseph, K, you're right. Unless you add a screen protector or some kind of thing on the pen, they slip and slide all over the place, right? And it's just weird that they went with that, because it makes the pen slide out underneath what you're drawing, and it can create some weird effects, right? Some weird, hard to control lines. Okay, what did I want to do? I wanted to, what was I going to do here? I just lost track. We showed that. I literally lost track. I was going to do, it was something about the camera, I think. I'm not sure what I was going to show, honestly. Let's just answer some questions in chat. You mentioned before that Wacom might release an Android tablet soonish. Do you think it'll use the regular Pro Pen 3? Oh, that's a great question. We don't know enough yet. I don't think we do. We know they're going to do it because we highly suspect they will, because we saw the FCC docs about it. But I don't think it revealed to us which pen it was going to use. Our pen prices. Thank you, Hera. Thank you. Man, my brain just totally fizzled out. And I was like, what am I going to do here? Okay, let's get... Where did Chrome get to? You're right, Hera. You were correct. Thank you. Let me get to eBay. And let's try KP701E. $150. Oh, this is 300E, which is useless to us. Okay, I'm not even finding it. Let me just try Wacom Art Pen. How's that? Wacom Art Pen. Am I crazy here? How about I try by price? I can't even find them. This is the one negative of Wacom, is that their Pro Pens are so expensive. Even used or on eBay, they are very, very expensive. I can't find them. Oh, look at this. What a beautiful box. I mean, that's so nice. We deserve this. Such beautiful boxes. KP503. Was that an art pen? No, grip pen. Okay, let me check. Let's say B and H Photo. They have a lot of equipment. Wacom Art Pen. Do they have any? Nope. How about Amazon? Wacom Art Pen. I can't find a single art pen anywhere. Let me try KP701E. Drinkwater says Wacom and budget, oil and water. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it looks like the universe has completely swallowed up all art pens. So we're out of luck. Right now, anyone who wants to use the art pen had better hope that their art pen doesn't break. Because unless Wacom makes more of them, we're not getting... It's going to be super hard to find. I would love, honestly, to know... Look, I worked for a large multinational. I mentioned that many times. Microsoft. It's very hard sometimes if you're outside the company and outside the team that makes decisions to understand the logic of why they made a business decision. I'm sure there are some good reasons, right? I'm sure that they are, there's something that they feel like this is the right thing to do. Or there could be some manufacturing issue or who knows what could prevent it. But like many of you, I still hope that they are going to do something and bring the pen back. Harris says, I found a listing here in Korea, but it's roughly $200 USD. I felt really lucky because when I first heard that the art pen was going away, that it wasn't going to be in production anymore, I went to eBay immediately. And I thought I was overpaying by spending $150 for it. In retrospect, I should have bought 2 of them. That's what I should have done. I think I just have 2 right now. I don't think I have 3. But I wish I had 3 because then I could do a little additional testing. Okay. Okay, I'm going to take a small bio break. I'll be right back, and then I'm going to just work on stuff and answer any questions people have. Okay? Right back. Okay, I'm back. Thanks for your patience. Ink Blaster has a comment, which is, anyone here try using an iPad as a Cintiq? You mean where it's just a display? I've tried. I couldn't find, I mean, maybe others have had better luck. I couldn't find any way to make that happen. You can make an iPad work as a monitor for a Mac OS computer, though I can't remember if touch worked, and I can't remember if the pen worked. There may be an app that does it, but I've never had any success. But I'd love if that was how they actually work, though. That would be amazing. That's how pen computers should work. I saw someone mention, Drinkwater says, I saw someone mention in some forum that Wacom stopped making them because the hardware was getting hard to procure, but I wonder how Apple did it. Yeah, to be fair, Drinkwater, the technologies are very different between barrel rotation for Wacom, for an EMR pen, and how an Apple Pencil works. Because the Apple Pencil uses something that's close to, it's a capacitive stylus. So it just has a different principle of operation. There are some similarities in general because it's electromagnetic, but it makes me think that they use a different mechanism entirely. I believe I read or someone told me there's some I think they said gyroscopic things in the Apple Pencil. I don't understand how that works exactly because I'm not really into hardware, but it's a very different thing. In the Wacom case, at least in one of the pens I saw disassembled for barrel rotation, there were actually 2 EMR coils, and that would explain why they can sense rotation. But yeah, the Apple Pencil, I think, transmits some information. It's just a very different way it figures it out. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of data. We don't have a source. We don't have like an explanation or any sort of documentation from Apple explaining how their pencils work. They just want it to appear like, magic. Right? Okay. I'll wait for more questions. In the meanwhile, I'm going to get back to getting a few comments and questions done. Give me 1 second. Take a quick check here. Something on my phone. Okay, great. Fantastic. Okay, excellent. Okay. Now, while I'm up, I'll just get some work done, answering some few questions. Let's see, this person, Orion's Gaming 73, says they use a Galaxy S7 FE for writing and drawing in Krita, and they're using it daily with a metal nib and a Paperlike screen protector. Yeah, it's interesting. I'll just thank them for sharing. Thanks for sharing. I didn't. I did not know that metal nibs were available. Oh, sorry, I got confused a second. For a second, I thought it was an Apple Pencil, but it's actually a S Pen for the Samsung S Pen. then I'll have to check that out. I didn't think. I just don't recall ever even thinking about nibs for the S Pen. I didn't switch. Let's see. Yeah, I tested with Samsung Android devices, and Plasmote is asking me which mode did I use. I didn't switch to any mode. I just used it with no configuration. Configuration changes, and it just worked. Else, this one says, what I don't like of the tablet is that it has the same problem as Huion. The bezels are not thick enough to rest the hand. Someone answered. Interesting comment. First of all, thanks for the nice comment. Yeah. Thanks for the nice comment about the channel. I appreciate it. And I'll say, I am starting to appreciate the larger bezels. On pen tablets and pen displays. I haven't noticed grease affecting my strokes on the pen displays, but I will be on the lookout for it. I need to check this one out. I think Joseph K is actually in the chat. Is the screen pen tile? I actually had to look at what pen tile is. I think I need to get a microscope, so let me just reply. I will check. Actually, Joseph, you're still in the chat. I can check right now. I have a camera that can zoom in like a microscope and see. I will check for it. I can take a photo. With a microscope and share it. Let's see, the loafing one says amazing in-depth discussion. Oops, sorry, I accidentally hit the negative minus finger down icon, thumbs down icon. This is nice. Yeah, in fact, I have seen a year or so ago a nib that had ceramic tip on top of a plastic body. But can't find it. I really want to try that. answered this. You know, my channel isn't that big, so I try to make sure everything gets answered. Though sometimes there's just so many little things. Hi, Voidots. I'm just going through comments on YouTube and then Reddit to make sure I'm answering questions. So if you have something you'd like me to do or test or a question, more than happy to do it. Just let me know. I think one thing I might actually do is work on the slides for the Intuos 24 touch review, because that might be useful for me to start getting those together. I really want to get that video ready and published this week. Okay, now this is interesting. I did not reply to this yet, but I've been meaning to. So, since everyone apparently, he's talking about my review of the Huion Canvas 13 Gen 3. So let's just read the comment, which is quite interesting. Since everyone here apparently thinks this is the only impartial review, I'll tell you something. This review doesn't say the dials are nice until they're not anymore, and that can happen quite easily. Yeah, I'm gonna put. Yeah. Hi. Thanks for mentioning this. I have not encountered any issues with the dials in my unit. But I definitely have seen others encounter the issue. At the very least, not at the very least, I will add a note to my written review, a section about this to my written review. And also, I will look through Reddit to see I can detect a pattern. The source of the problem. Yeah, I've seen it a couple of times, but now I feel like I'm seeing it more often. Again, my unit works fine, so I'm not sure what's going on here. Okay, Ink Blaster says, is Cintiq 17 a good size? Is it mobile like the previous models? So I think you're talking about the Cintiq Pro 17. I don't think it's a 16-inch 17 tablet would be decent size, though I like it larger. The problem with the Cintiq Pro 17 is it's really expensive. I think it's $2,500 for a 17-inch tablet. It also doesn't have a flat back, so you can't lay it flat on a desk. I think it's a bad choice for carrying around because of that. I think the Cintiq 16 that's being released now would be a better option. It doesn't have touch, but yeah, I'm not too impressed with the Cintiq Pro 17, honestly. Again, I think if you're gonna pay that much, size is important. I just don't feel like 17 is enough. I think you want a larger size. And yeah, I think it's probably as mobile as previous models, but I don't think the Cintiq Pros were ever designed to be very mobile. Again, they're just heavy and they're thicker devices than you'd expect. Okay. 1 second, let me just check the Discord chat to see if anyone is. Okay, no one has to comment and react. Oh, I've got the Discord up here. There we go. No wonder clicking on it didn't work. I see Stark Stefan has joined the Discord. Jerome28 has joined the Discord. I always get about 2 or 3 people join the Discord when I live stream, which is always nice. It's amazing. I never thought when I created the Discord just over a year ago, in May of 2024, I thought I'd check it once a day to see maybe someone's got a comment. It turns out the Discord, the drawing tablet Discord, is amazingly busy. There are people chatting most of the day. In fact, it's kind of unusual when it's quiet, when no one's chatting. So I'm very happy with it, and it's a good community. And believe me, there are not a lot of Discords where you can talk about drawing tablets. There's this one, and then there's probably Cube's drawing tablet. Cube server. But that, of course, has a much wider set of topics that get discussed. Drawing tablet server is really about drawing tablets. Okay, I am feeling a bit tired now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the stream. Thanks, everyone, for joining. It was good to walk through some of these questions. How long did I go for? Almost 3 hours. Wow, 2 hours, 49 minutes. So again, thank you very much. It's always fun to do these. I'll do more of these. And again, I think I'll start doing it in office hours so that there's a regular time people can come and ask questions. And with that, I hope you all have a great day. It was so much fun, as always, spending time with you. Have a great day. I'll be streaming again soon.